We'll move on to I think that's the final principal area about communications and syndication. So again, timely reporting, good information flow, good access, sharing of information. So syndication, in this case, we're thinking not only the syndication amongst ourselves, but syndication with other angel investors, the way we frequently do. So being able to ensure for other investors we invite to co-invest with us that they'll be investing on terms where they know they're going to get timely information. That's an important part of it. And the angel investor engagement, the semi-annual gathering that I talked about earlier, where we can contribute our intellectual capital. And it's also about establishing personal communications, the chance to actually have the founder team, the management team, the board, and the angel investor syndicate get to know each other over time. A lot of these companies, we're going to be investors for quite some time. We add real value. We have lots of evidence of that, where we have situations of companies where we've appointed a director. Later rounds have come in, diluted us away from any threshold by which we would be allowed to retain a director automatically. But the success of the company and the value that the director and the angels behind that director have added has actually caused the incoming investors to encourage that director to stay on. If we do a good job as investors, then other investors coming into the company will value that. And so that's what a lot of this is about. The angel investor representative form, as I said, it's a form of a proxy. It's about a coordinating contact point. So this is the communications issue. It gives the company somebody to talk to. It gives other shareholders somebody to talk to. And of course, it gives our syndication partners, both within Melbourne Angels and within other angel investors who join us. So the other shareholders one is quite important too, because often there'll be other shareholders in the company. They could be pre-existing shareholders, what we've been referring to in this document as ordinary shareholders. And they may want to ask a question. And it can be quite difficult if they just randomly bump into one of the Melbourne Angels and ask a question. It goes off the rails, there's confusion, people don't know the background, and there's also a question to some degree of confidentiality concerns. So by having a nominated contact point, we can better manage all of that and encourage the company and the other shareholders to better manage all of those issues.
Can I just add one more point on the shareholder representative position? It's in many cases, I think that person will also be the nominated angel investor director. And then I think it does need to be a distinction and some formality.
Well, actually, the intent is no.
No.
Oh,
the
okay.
intent is that it would be two separate people.
Okay.
That the nominee director is a director, and because they cannot represent shareholders as a director, that we have a separate person who is the angel investor representative, the shareholder representative.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
Because the director's banned by board confidentiality.
That's right. Well, there is a distinction between if you're a director, obviously the duties you owe to the company, which you have to sort of, whilst you might be an investor, you do need to have two hats on, I suppose, effectively.
So we're trying to avoid exactly that. So it's a good point to raise, absolutely. The reason that we've created this role, we've always had it informally, but the reason we tried to document it is because we want to separate the risk that's represented by putting a nominee director into the board and then expecting them to somehow also be the shareholder representative, because it puts them in an impossible position of conflict.
The function of the appointment too, as far as the investor rep is concerned, is to actually ensure that they have the necessary direction and instruction and comfort from the rest of the angel investor group to actually represent them with some clarity, rather than having a lack of direction. So that's also one of the reasons why we put the form together like it is, to give the person the necessary instruction and authority to proceed.